There is a conspiracy theory out there that Jamie Foxx, the actor, he was in Living Color, and then he also played Electro in the Spider-Man movies. The big conspiracy about Jamie Foxx is that Jamie Foxx is now paralyzed. That he's paralyzed and blind, and the reason he got blind was because of the vaccine. Have you guys heard about this? I did not know that the COVID vaccines could paralyze or blind people, but apparently that's a thing. Turns out that that is 100% complete bullshit. Here's a story for you guys here. Let's turn on my laptop again. Fact check, COVID-19 vaccine did not leave Jamie Foxx paralyzed. So what did this come from exactly? I'm not going to read this entire thing, but basically, while he was filming his latest movie, I'll go ahead and put this down in the chat for you guys so that you can read this later at your convenience. But long story short, while he was at his latest film called Back in Action, he had a medical emergency and had to go off to the hospital. And this led to lots of speculation about what happened to him. And the anti-vaxx moron assholes, the people out there who are doing everything they can to keep the COVID pandemic going for as long as and kill as many people as possible, jumped on the bandwagon there, and a wild conspiracy theory got out that that because of the COVID-19 vaccine, a blood clot formed inside of Jamie Foxx's brain, and this led to him being paralyzed and blind. Now, you would think, well, why would people just suddenly believe something like that without any proof, right? Did anybody come out, for example, and, were there any, officials, like Jamie Foxx's family or something coming out and say that he was blind or that he was paralyzed? No. That was just a rumor that started. There were no official, his family didn't come out and say, oh, please pray for Jamie Foxx, he's currently blind or whatever, or Jamie Foxx took the vaccine. No. Nobody said anything. There was no official word from anyone. This was just a sort of a conspiracy theory that popped up overnight that somebody made up. And it quickly caught legs in the usual places that you would see conspiracy theories grab hold of things. Twitter. Here's a bunch of tweets. Let's go through a few of these. This is, of course, Charlie Kirk, our resident big-headed, holier-than-thou asshole, leader of TPUSA. According to reports, Jamie Foxx is now paralyzed and blind from a blood clot in his brain after receiving COVID-19 quote-unquote vaccine. Those of us who spoke against the mRNA shot were attacked in every imaginable way. I'm infuriated. A decent person like Jamie Foxx fell victim to Big Pharma because of a movie set is still dumb enough to mandate their cash cow clot shot. So, quickly after this, right? After this happened, because this was on the 1st, right? Today's the 10th. So it's funny how fast this shit moves, right? Jamie Foxx's family came out and said, no, this didn't happen. No, there was no evidence. Jamie Foxx is alive. He's fine. He's not paralyzed. His family put out a statement saying that he was playing pickleball, which I'm not really sure what pickleball is. I think it's some kind of, I don't know. I could look it up, but I'm not going to. That he was out and doing rigorous physical activity. He was exercising after this. So he's obviously not paralyzed. He's obviously not blind. Charlie Kirk is a man with a huge platform that thousands and thousands, if not millions of people, God, that's a scary thought, millions of people paying attention to Charlie Kirk, right? He is. As much as we hate to admit it, he's very influential. Has Charlie Kirk come out and tweeted a retraction about the horseshit story that he spread around, the bullshit conspiracy theory that he spread around. Has he gone on his show or gone on Twitter and said, hey, that other thing that I tweeted the other day, turns out that wasn't true. It turns out Jamie Foxx is fine. Everything's cool. Please go out and get vaccinated. Did he do anything like that? Nope. Not at all. Because you got to remember, Charlie Kirk and the people like him, they're not journalists. They're not journalists. And they don't adhere to journalistic standards. That means they don't have any ethics. Right? When you're a journalist, you're supposed to actually vet your sources. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to actually go and research the things that you say to make sure that the things you say are true. Because to a journalist, the most important thing is reputation. If people don't believe the shit you say when you're a journalist, then why should you be? Then you're just telling lies, and you have no integrity, and no one is going to believe you, and thus no one's going to visit your website or buy your newspaper or whatever the fuck it is, right? Remember, Charlie Kirk is not a journalist. Charlie Kirk is a pundit. He's a talking head. He's a guy that gets paid to give his opinion on shit that he knows nothing about in order to push a political agenda. And that's what Charlie Kirk does. He lies to people on purpose to push a political agenda. I don't understand how or why vaccines became politicized. The only thing that I can think the reason why vaccines became politicized is because corporations and rich people who own companies and things like that wanted to keep the economy going. And if you had too many people staying at home and sheltering in place, and that means they're not out shopping, that means people aren't going to work and all that other crap. And that's the only reason I can think about, like, you know, that, and then the other reason being that, well, because Joe Biden said to do it. That, I mean, but that just seems so fucking petty, right? Doesn't that seem incredibly petty? Wouldn't you be like, man, is that really the reason? I really do suspect for a lot of these people that that is the actual reason. Is that Democrats and liberals and progressives said that you should get vaccinated. And so they said, no, we're not going to get vaccinated. I have my freedom. I really think that it's a combination of those two things. Business interests with just the conservative predilection to do the exact opposite of the right thing, just to piss off the libs. And the result of that is that hundreds of thousands of people are dead, of course. I mean, how many are we at now? Something like 700,000 people in the United States are dead now. Because that, I guess the consolation prize is that the majority of those people are conservative. Right? Because all of the non-conservatives are getting vaccinated and they're dying at lower rates. Of course, they're still dying, just at lower rates. Well, if you don't get vaccinated, at this point, it's your own stupid fucking fault for not getting vaccinated. Right? So, at this point, it's like, whatever. Okay, you don't want to get vaccinated, don't fucking get vaccinated. Not my problem. Here's another one. Here's a guy that actually posted a video. This is from a guy named Jekov Kanini. No idea who this dude is. But let's listen to what he has to say. He's got important stuff to say.
Good morning. Yesterday I posted about Jamie Foxx, the actor. He has blood clot in his brain and he lost vision. He's blind right now after taking the COVID vaccine. Now this story is all over the news because it's Jamie Foxx and he is famous. My question is, do you know how many people just like Jamie who had the blood clot, myocarditis, or heart attacks and died from the COVID vaccine and you never heard about them? Do you know why? Because your government, the politicians you keep voting for, and the media keep covering their crimes and the crimes of the pharmaceutical industry. It's been 3 years since this show started. 3 years, and I have zero regrets. Listen, losing my business, going bankruptcy, losing family members, friends, and being kicked out of society, all of this was definitely worth it. Pure blood forever. And if you are one of these people who resisted this madness and you're still pure blood, I salute you. Peace.
Pure blood. Wow. So, first off, like we said, here's another guy that bought straight into the conspiracy theory, right? And I'm wondering if this dude is feeling silly when it came out that Jamie Foxx is not blind, right? Of course, to this dude and his friends or whatever, they probably just factor that straight into the conspiracy theory too. I wonder if we're going to see, like in QAnon circles or whatever, if we're going to see a conspiracy that Jamie Foxx is now a clone or a body double, and that the real Jamie Foxx is like blind and paralyzed, and now they just have like the life model, like, duplicate, right? The life model android of Jamie Foxx or whatever out there actually acting in the movies and stuff like that. I wonder if that's gonna just get worked into like the conspiracy theory. So first off, and then the other thing he says is like, oh, I lost my business and I lost family members and all this other shit. It's like, yeah, don't you think that would make you kind of change your mind? Like if you went out of business because no one would go to your business because of vaccines or whatever, I mean, I'm assuming, like, first off, how the fuck do you lose your business over vaccines? I don't see how that happens. I mean, it looks like this guy is in some other country, like in the Middle East somewhere, and he's not in the United States. Maybe they have vaccine mandates in whatever country he's in, and he didn't get vaccinated and then they shut him down. Maybe that happened. Somehow I doubt it. Somehow it seems to me that these types of public safety measures would be a lot more lax in whatever country he's in. Places like, Sudan and Iran and Iraq and Jordan, all these other places. Places like those, they tend to not give a shit when it comes to public health like this. Like, you can smoke anywhere you want. They don't have the same regulations when it comes to things like water or medicine. Like FDA, we have like an FDA that basically makes them test medicine to make sure it doesn't kill you. Like they don't really give a fuck about that kind of thing because the life expectancy in these places is way lower anyway. No one really cares when nobody cares about like say cigarettes or seatbelts or anything like that when your life expectancy is 45 minutes to begin with. It's not really a thing that they bothered with. So something tells me there were his business didn't get shut down because of mask mandates or whatever. And then the last thing I want to bring up is where he said pure blood forever. That sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? Pure blood? Kind of sounds a little bit like a white supremacist dog whistle, doesn't it? Like, that's what they call white people. Like what white people call each other when they say they have a pure white ancestry. Especially nowadays, like this was a thing all through the, in the past in the 80s and 90s, but even now when you have like these sort of DNA test sites where you can go put your DNA in and then it'll tell you like, oh, you're 3% sub-Saharan African and 50% Spanish and 45% Bangladeshi or whatever, right? Now they can go and all the white supremacists are going and getting these DNA tests, and the ones that do happen to have like a majority like northern sort of European ancestry, they're like flaunting these things and saying, see, I was a pure blood or whatever. Pure blood basically is shorthand for there's no minorities in my family, that kind of thing. And it's funny how that has been adapted by the anti-vax crowd. Now anti-vax people are calling themselves purebloods. That's not an accident. All right, that was on purpose. That was a thing that basically it was a way that I think that actually started on fucking 4chan if I'm not mistaken, the pureblood thing when it comes to vaccines. Pretty sure that was started on 4chan, but if it wasn't, still it's not an accident. That was done on purpose. It was a way for white supremacists to sneak in their rhetoric. Because they always do shit like that. White supremacists and white nationalists and other assorted fucking Nazi assholes are always finding ways to kind of sneak in their dog whistles when it comes to just everyday life, when it comes to other political movements, things like that. And that's like a good example of that is the OK hand sign. Or another thing, there was a big thing about white supremacists drinking milk and shit a few years back. You remember that? Remember the whole thing with like drink milk and get some white inside of you or whatever? And it's just funny, like this guy has no fucking clue about that, right? This guy has no clue that he's spreading around white supremacist rhetoric. Pure blood. Jesus fucking Christ. People are fucking stupid, man. Here's another one. Let's, another tweet from a guy named Jackson J. He got the booster and stroked out. The same thing happened to Diamond. She got a booster as soon as she got home. It said, "My heart feels funny," died instantly. Look at what's happening in Germany. They are having huge number of people dying every day for no reason. It's crazy. No, not what happened. Diamond did not die from a booster. She died from COVID-19. Diamond of Diamond and Silk, she actually did not die from getting a booster shot. She had COVID-19. She was against... No, she caught COVID. She went to the hospital and she fucking died. She didn't like die and like, my heart feels funny and then die of a heart attack. No, that's not what happened. She didn't die instantly. She died in a hospital after being hooked up to respirators and shit. It's fucking ridiculous. And it's like, it would literally take you 2.5 nanoseconds of Googling to figure that out, right? And that's the thing with conspiracy theories, folks. They don't need evidence. You don't need evidence for a conspiracy theory. There doesn't have to be evidence, right? In fact, the less evidence there is, the more people fucking believe it. because conspiracy theories are all about speculation. People sit around and they speculate crap, and they go, "That sounds logical to me. It must be true." And that's how conspiracy theories spread and propagate, when there's like absolutely no fucking proof at all for any of this shit. Here's one. Here's a guy named Jay Brandon. Jay Brandon is white. He has a message for Black America. Wake up, Black America. Who was they trying to push the COVID fake vaccine on the most? That's kind of a strange sentence structure there, but let's continue. I'll tell you, it was the black community and the minorities and your children. Look at Jamie Foxx. He didn't want to take it. Now he's partially paralyzed and blind. Wake up, they lied to capital U. Must have ran out of space there. Now, what does he mean when he says they who was they trying to push the COVID fake vaccine on the most? Because, that kind of, this guy seems to have problems with English or whatever, right? But what does he actually mean? Well, it's because black people die of COVID at a higher rate. During the height of COVID, like basically black people and minorities, right, would die at a higher rate than white people. Why is that? The main reason why that is because black people have less money, so they have less access to health care. So a lot of older black people are living with more medical problems that have been untreated because they have less access to health care. So they're more likely to not go to the doctor for something. So they may have, say, a lung problem or something like that, or untreated diabetes, or hypertension is another one. Hypertension is a thing that COVID will kill you. If you have like high blood pressure, hypertension, that'll kill you. If you smoke, black people are more likely to smoke at a later age than most other people. Smokers do not have a good success rate with COVID-19 because it infects your lungs, and if your lungs are already screwed up from smoking, not good. It's a risk factor, and that's part of the reason why when it came to vaccines and when it came to there's another one, colloidal antibodies, the whatever they're called. It's the once you get it, they give you these like artificial antibodies that they're not artificial, but they're they give you, I think they're called, I can't remember exactly what they're called, but it's like a treatment for COVID, right? And they would give those to the black people and minorities first because they were more likely to die of COVID, and that was a big stink during the pandemic where all of the, white people are saying, oh, the treatment is giving away, they're treating black people first, it's racism and all this other crap. And it's like, no, it's because statistically, black people, more than anyone else, more than Latinos, more than Asians, more than white people, were the ones that were dying of COVID at higher rates. And it's because of this reason. It was because, and it's because mainly it was older people in general, and older black people have more untreated medical problems. That's just the reality. That's the reality of our society. That's an effect of, that's evidence. I'll put it that way. That's evidence of ingrained systemic racism in our society, right there. That's why they were trying to say they were reaching, outreaching to black people, telling them, hey, get vaccinated. Because another thing, there was a large number of African Americans in this country who were leery of getting vaccine, right? And that's just whatever cultural reason it was, whether it was because they didn't trust the government, whether it was because of traditions of, medical experiments, shit like that. Whatever fucking reason that was, when the vaccines first came around, the African American community had the highest number of people who were not getting vaccinated because they didn't trust it. And I can understand that shit. I mean, I didn't trust it either when it first came out. I thought, oh shit, they rushed a vaccine out the door? I'm not taking that shit. That's what I thought too. But, then after 1 million people took it and they were fine, it's like, okay, well, fuck it. Looks like, all those people took it and they're alive. It must be okay. Right? So I understand the skepticism when it comes to that kind of thing. But that's why they were trying to outreach to those people first. Well, the anti-vaxxers have turned that around. And see, now it's like, oh, now they're targeting you with this shot that'll make you go paralyzed and blind. Complete twisting, like 180 twist of reality is what's going on here. Yeah, folks, it just really gets me when it comes to conspiracy theories. Just remember, it doesn't need any evidence. There doesn't have to be any evidence for a conspiracy theory to take root. It doesn't have to have any truth at all to it. It doesn't need any of that, right? Conspiracy theories are just there to make people feel good. Like, where did this one even come from? Was there any indication of Jamie Foxx being blind or paralyzed in the first place? No. It was just some fucking asshole, some right-wing anti-fucking vaccine asshole out there saw this as an opportunity to spread misinformation, and he took it. And that's all it is. That's all it is. It's some fucking douchebag asshole who wants people to die from COVID. Spread around misinformation on purpose so that people would purposely not go get vaccinated so that more people will die. That's really what it is at this point, right? If you're too fucking stupid to get vaccinated, it's kind of your fault. There's only so much people can tell you to do it. So it's only so much you can it's like, go get vaccinated. Like, how much more evidence do you fucking need? So yeah, I'm kind of over the whole anti-vax thing now. I can't sit here forever and just, it's like telling someone to put on a seatbelt. And, dude, put on your seatbelt, you're going to die. Put on your seatbelt, you're going to die. And then they always tell you, I'm not going to die, I'm not going to die. One day, that seatbelt is going to save your life. You think, oh, I'll never get in a car accident. That'll never happen to me. Oh, I'll never have to do that. One day, you're going to wish you had that fucking seatbelt on. The same thing applies here. One day, because COVID now is endemic. It will now be with us for the rest of our lives forever. Because people like these assholes are too fucking stupid to get vaccinated. If everybody would just go out and get vaccinated, then it would basically go away. We could eradicate it from this earth. We have eradicated diseases from this earth before. Things like smallpox. Completely eradicated. Nobody has to take the smallpox vaccine anymore. It's gone. We had that opportunity. It's too late now with COVID. We could have done that. If everybody just would have fucking stayed inside and wore a fucking mask and then get vaccinated when the vaccine came out, COVID would be a thing of the past. Too late for that, folks. We're going to be getting these vaccines now for the rest of fucking time because of these fucking idiots. It would be wrong for me, and I think also against the YouTube and Twitter terms of service for me to actually wish death on these people. So I'm not doing that. I don't want anyone to die of an easily preventable disease. All I'm saying is that if you're too fucking stupid at this point to take precautions to stop an easily preventable disease from spreading, then it's your own fault. And I think that's all I got to say on that matter. Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.